And this is the pregame show here on OSN. Hope you're having a great Saturday afternoon. It's sunny and 6 degrees here in the nation's capital, Lever Sage. Tanner Ryle with you for the biggest game of the year. Is this the game that the Ottawa Senators win in regulation and almost assuredly clinch a playoff spot? Whether that happens tonight or tomorrow, they could go a very long way in doing that if they are able to beat the New York Islanders this afternoon. Tanner, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Lee. Feels good to be here live on the pregame show.
Okay.
Big game. Good. Glad we're actually live for it.
We are live. That's good.
We are live. That's confirmed. We had a double check, triple check today after what happened the other day. But hey, glad that happened on that stream and not this one, because like you said, this is the biggest game of the season for the Ottawa Senators. Clinching scenario. By the end of the night, we could know if this is a playoff team or not.
Yeah, I mean, as early as about 7:30 tonight, the Ottawa Senators could be in the playoffs. If they beat the New York Islanders in regulation, and then at 5 o'clock today, if the New Jersey Devils are able to beat the Detroit Red Wings, Ottawa would be officially in.
And that is also in any situation. So if the Detroit Red Wings lose in overtime, it is still a clinch for the Ottawa Senators, just to clarify.
Yep. But basically, if Ottawa wins today, especially in regulation, even if they don't clinch tonight, they're going to be in. And I think even tomorrow night with some of the games that are going on, that they could be in. Julian with us on a Saturday afternoon says big game this afternoon. And yes, Z Gibbon is here. This is OSN Live. Excellent. Yeah. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Tanner and I did a hell of a show. I mean, like one hell of a show on Thursday to preview, at that point, the biggest game of the year.
We spent like 20 minutes talking about Iron Man Thomas Chabot here coming back early from his injury, and that audio and video is just never seen the light of day.
Yeah, we have it, so it could at some point, but it did not get out to the masses, unfortunately. So for the Ottawa Senators, the New York Islanders, they sit, like we talk about Ottawa's situation, but for the New York Islanders, this is almost do or die, right? Like they are 3 points behind the Ottawa Senators for the second wild card. They are 1 point behind the Philadelphia Flyers, who are also in action, and a big game for them because the Winnipeg Jets season is on the line at home tonight at 7 o'clock. So the Philadelphia Flyers currently sit 1 point ahead of the New York Islanders for third in the Metropolitan. So while Ottawa is looking behind them and seeing Detroit and the Islanders at 91 points, Philadelphia at 92, and one of Philadelphia, the Islanders, and an outside shot at the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be that third team in the Metro. So
yeah, I think it's probably do or die tonight for Columbus. I think if they lose to the Montreal Canadiens at 7 p.m., that's pretty much curtains for them.
Yeah. So, but for the Islanders, you look at it and you say it's not an absolute must-win for them, depending on what Philadelphia does tonight and down the stretch. But boy, the Islanders could really help themselves, because if they're able to beat Ottawa and get 2 points today and keep Ottawa at no points, they beat them in regulation, they would be 1 point back of the Senators, and they would leapfrog the Philadelphia Flyers and feel much better about themselves. So as Julian says here, the new coach bump, yes, Peter DeBoer in his second game for the Islanders does make this an interesting watch. It could be very much a playoff style game. And from the Islanders' point of view, Julian, it will be. And can Ottawa match that? Like, does Ottawa, I don't know, Tanner, do you think that this is a game that, not on purpose, but maybe they take their foot off the gas a little bit because they're in a much better spot sitting at 94 points? The Islanders should be the more desperate team. Can Ottawa match them? To me, that's one of the questions here on an early afternoon game on a Saturday.
Yeah, you would hope so. And I mean, I think they've been playing some great hockey on the stretch, 3-game winning streak. And you got to know that Travis Green and the leadership group are going to be hammering it in that if the Senators can get this win, they're pretty much home free. So I don't think the Senators are going to be taking the Islanders very lightly. I think it's going to be, as Julian mentioned, a playoff style game, but it's going to come down to who wants it more between these two teams. And I think the Islanders have probably got just a little bit more to play for than the Senators.
Yeah, they do. And that's where the playoff style matchup comes in, because Ottawa's got to match that. Ottawa's got to equal the New York Islanders here and do what they've done to a lot of teams. But, not to look back, but boy, the Ottawa Senators, having lost Jake Sanderson, he finally comes back. Having lost Thomas Chabot, he finally comes back. They got home without either of those guys in the lineup. They went 4-1 on their 5-game homestand. And I mean, Linus Ullmark's been pretty good, right? His 7th straight game that he'll start in goal since he sat out that Tampa game. And he's won 4 or 5 as well. So this team has done everything and more that you could have asked them to do over the stretch where they've had a bunch of injuries. They got guys back in the lineup, and now they are in a spot where a win today almost guarantees it, but 2 wins in their last 3 games will get them into the playoffs here, and a first round matchup with somebody. And that's still to be determined. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but man, oh man, Tanner, I mean, Thomas Chabot coming back into the lineup and playing 21-16 in his return. Honestly, incredible for him to be able to do that against Florida.
Yeah, it's huge. And I mean, we talked about it in depth on that Never to Be Aired pregame show, but surely he's not 100% right now. He's definitely playing through a lot of pain. He's got, I think, 8 screws and 2 plates in his arm right now. Bones just don't heal that fast. So he's definitely going through it and showing up for this team. And I think that says a lot to his teammates about how badly Thomas Chabot wants to be a part of the culture here. And he, I mean, we know it's pretty obvious he's a big part of that locker room, a big leader in every sense of the word, and plays a big role in that lineup. And getting him in there for 21 minutes a night over some of those depth defensemen is just, it's huge for the Senators. Yeah. And having him at even 80% is a massive upgrade into their lineup. And especially with how much the defensive depth has really been tested, seems like they're starting to get healthy again. You got Yakimchuk back in Belleville. Dennis Gilbert seems to be ready to go. Lassie Thompson seems to be playing quite well on the bottom pair. It's really just Tyler Clevin that you hope maybe we'll see again come the playoffs, but they're in great shape defensively compared to where we were at, a week and a half ago with Jorian Donovan in the lineup. No shade to the guy, but not an NHL defenseman at this stage in his career. So yeah, having Chabot back is huge.
Yeah, let alone Crotty and Yakimchuk and Lassie Thompson has been, as you said, really good. But imagine like a defense corps that's got, who's on defense for Ottawa? Well, Crotty and Thompson and Yakimchuk and
Jordan Spence playing 31 minutes.
Donovan, you're like, who are these guys? And as you said, guys that were in the 5-6 role are playing 24, 28, 30 minutes a game. It's crazy.
I think it says a lot about the forwards as well, because I've seen Travis Green talking a lot recently, kind of pushing back about this being a defense first team and more of a 200-foot game team. Right. I think it says a lot about the centers and the forwards also playing back a little bit more and helping that defense out, while also still playing much better offensively than we saw last season from this team.
Well, we see it in different team sports. Soccer is the big one, right? Where you can be a really, really good team and let the other team have the ball in soccer and control possession, and your counterattack is so good and your defense is so good that you're not really worried about teams having it on the perimeter. And then as soon as you counter, you're the better team. And it feels like some of these guys for Ottawa have bought into, if you come back and you make sure that we're doing what it takes in our own end, we're able to get out of our own end as units. You see teams go, 6, 7, 10 minutes without a shot on goal because of what Ottawa is doing. And then in the counter, it actually gives more space for guys like Stützle, who's been explosive in the last couple of weeks. Like there's been almost every game, 1 or 2 spots a game where Tim Stützle like blows by somebody either in the neutral zone or just inside the blue line because he's got the space coming back from his own end to be able to do that. And it's really hard to defend a guy like Tim Stützle when you give him a little bit of space and you make the fact that he has bought into his own end is amazing because it's actually helped him. It really has. And most of the team has bought into that. I would like personally the captain to be a little bit better when it comes to from the red line in, but I mean, he's got 5 assists in his last 2 games. He got 4 the other night. If he keeps doing that, then it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of come to life a little bit more during this homestand. And I think this is the right time for Brady Tkachuk to come alive a little bit more because if this team has any hope of going on a deep playoff run, he's got to be one of those guys on that team.
Yeah. And Julian emphasizing the point here, saying it's 5-man units as opposed to 3 forwards and then the 2 D-men. It's clear that there's been a buy-in to what's been preached. And while some games can be boring wins right now, that was no clearer than Thursday night. One of the most boring hockey games I have ever watched, but for Ottawa fans and for what Ottawa needed, that's all you could ask for. That game really was never in doubt against Florida, even though it was boring, because it was what Ottawa had to do to make sure that they got the 2 points that they needed. And yeah, like who cares at that point? And when you get to the playoffs, I don't care how boring it is, fans will be very happy if you're winning hockey games in the playoffs, no matter what way you are winning hockey games. You don't have to be exciting to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's right. I think tonight will be anything but boring, though, when you look at these 2 teams. I'm hoping we see a very playoff-like game that we've seen teams like Buffalo and Tampa play very recently. That's certainly what I'm hoping for tonight. If you want the boring game, maybe go turn on the Panthers and Maple Leafs in the tank-off tonight. That one's probably going to be brutal.
So one of the things, too, that don't get me off topic here because obviously the Ottawa Senators matter a lot more. But man, oh man, what a letdown tonight. What an absolute letdown from a national broadcast that the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers are the game that's being broadcasted across the country. And the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Montreal Canadiens, while people might not think that that's as sexy a matchup, Montreal's competing for the division and conference title. Columbus is, it's the game. They're going to be out if they lose in regulation. Like they're not getting there. And then you have Philadelphia and Winnipeg that, again, Winnipeg's season is on the line at home and Philadelphia is scraping. They are not guaranteed anything, sitting 3rd in the Metro, just 1 ahead of the Islanders and 2 ahead of Columbus. But instead, the Tankathon with the Toronto Maple Leafs are on national television tonight against an equally bad Florida Panthers team, and both teams trying as hard as they possibly can from the management style to lose this hockey game. But that's the one. That's the one we're going to show across the country. Not any of these other important games involving Canadian teams, like Montreal competing for a division title and a conference title, Ottawa trying to get into the playoffs, and the Winnipeg Jets really trying to scrape to get into the playoffs. No, we'll never show those guys. What a joke. What an absolute joke that national game tonight is Toronto, Florida. Ridiculous. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. One of the things I think back to, I'm going to say it was the start of getting Patrick Waugh fired, but you remember the last time these 2 teams played? And Brady Tkachuk scoring with 12 seconds to go in the hockey game to beat the Islanders. They don't get a point, and maybe they would have got 2 if they had have held on at that point. They had a 2-1 lead in the 3rd period. They would be looking back at that game going, man, like 11 seconds, we would have got 1 point. We could have 2, and maybe the Senators wouldn't have that one more point, and they'd both be sitting at 93. Instead, it's 94-91 based off almost that game alone. It's crazy what teams, like what those, like one goal at one time can be able to do. But the Ottawa Senators have had a, like, do you know what their record is over the last, I would call it, let's see, 34, 46 games that they've played the New York Islanders. It's very good.
Is it?
Yes. Especially in New York. When they've gone to New York against the Islanders, before they moved from Nassau Coliseum to where they are now, the Senators were 25, 9, and 10. And they've had a shutout win already last year, and then the year before they won 4-3 in overtime at the new place. They haven't lost at the UBS Arena in 3 years before that. So when they go to New York to play the Islanders on the road, this team is a very, very good team.
I got to wonder if the Shane Pinto entourage will be in town tonight and in the arena. His hometown, he's usually got quite a group of guys that come out for the team. So that'll be one player to keep an eye on, maybe playing for a little bit more tonight.
Julian says the tank off is important. Fans need to know who's fighting for that first overall pick. Yes, because then when they tune into the lottery and, like, I don't know, like the San Jose Sharks win it, or I would love the Sharks to win it.
Imagine Celebrini and McKenna on the same team.
Yeah, see, and we need that.
That'd be bonkers. Yeah,
we need that. So, same lineup for the Ottawa Senators as they had on Thursday. No changes going into this game. And I'm just really eager to see, because the Islanders are going to come out. Yes, it was the Leafs, but didn't you say that they outshot them 22-3 in the first period?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous like that. And yeah, it's the Leafs, but the Islanders are certainly have a lot more to play for here. So I'm sure they're going to come out hard. Some big players. I'm sure we're all going to be watching Matthew Schaefer tonight. But to me, I think it's going to also come down a little bit to the goaltending in the Linus Ullmark, Ilya Sorokin matchup, because he's had a phenomenal season, Sorokin, and it seems to be kind of head-to-head between him and Andrei Vasilevsky for the Vezina Trophy.
Right. So you look at teams right now, like, let's look at clinching scenarios first. We talked about Ottawa. If they're able to beat the Islanders and the Red Wings lose in any fashion, then the Sens are in. The Boston Bruins can also clinch if they beat Tampa today, and that game is about 9 minutes in, no score. Boston and Tampa, they are in. And if you go over to the West, the Oilers, and this is big for Winnipeg, the Oilers will clinch a playoff berth if they can get 1 point against the LA Kings at 4:00. And the
or if the Jets do not beat Philadelphia in regulation, the Oilers will also clinch.
Right.
I've got the full scenarios pulled up here. There's a few more too.
Yep. I mean, Anaheim can get in. They're not even playing. They can get in today, depending on what happens. So can Dallas. Nobody's fearful of the Stars missing the playoffs.
Vegas.
But Vegas as well. So, yeah, lots of teams that, on the last weekend of the regular season to be able to do that. But you look at the Eastern Conference, and again, can Montreal get up and beat the Buffalo Sabres? That's, to me, because if they can, what a change that would be. Could be Ottawa's first round opponent, depending on what happens. So lots of scenarios, but for Ottawa, they just got to win today. If they win today, they help themselves regardless of what else happens. They're almost a lock to make the playoffs if they win today.
Yeah, that's right. There's a big game going on right now, too, that we'll be watching a little bit. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins are about 10 minutes into the first period
Yeah.
in TD Garden. So that might play into things a little bit. The Senators just 2 points back of the Boston Bruins. Also, with a win today and a Bruins loss, they would jump into that first wildcard spot.
And Tampa competing for something too. They're 2 points behind Montreal, 4 points behind Buffalo. Tampa and Montreal have 3 games left. Buffalo just 2 left. So Tampa either fighting for home ice advantage in the first round or, depending, they could still win the Atlantic Division as well. No team has been eliminated from winning the Atlantic Division depending on what happens. But lots of scenarios to play out depending on how these games go. And they go all day, which I love. Again, you got that game going on right now. The Sens and Islanders coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Not a huge game from the Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins, but it is Ovechkin and Crosby, maybe for the last time ever.
Right.
This afternoon, which people will get sentimental about. The Oilers Kings has some huge implications, especially for the Kings and the Winnipeg Jets, who are chasing them. The 5:00 game, a lot of eyes from Ottawa will be on that one, with the Red Wings hosting the Devils. That directly impacts Ottawa. And then you go tonight, Nashville at 5:00 as well. They're in action. They're just 1 point back of the Kings, but they've played one less game, so they're getting into that must-win territory. Nashville hosting the Minnesota Wild. And then tonight, we got the Tankathon with the Maple Leafs and the Panthers, with the Blue Jackets and the Canadiens. The Flyers and the Jets are both massive, massive games. So all day, if you're a hockey fan, there is something on the line.
Yeah, great spread. Sure beats a Friday night where there are 0 games in the NHL, which was last night. Blows my mind that they're doing that this late into the season. We often question the schedule makers. I think last night was just such a weird decision.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. I mean, you got a Friday night in the last weekend of the regular season and you don't have one game going on.
Surely there's a team that isn't playing a back-to-back that could be slotted in there. Like, why wouldn't you put, say, the Capitals and the Penguins there if this is Ovechkin and Crosby's last game? Why wouldn't you put Tampa and Boston there? Just do something. Come on.
Yeah. No, I agree. And especially the fact that the regular season's going to end on Thursday for the Western Conference teams. And you go up and down the list, how many Western Conference teams like Utah, the Kings, the Jets, the Sharks, they have 4 games left. 4. So that means like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're going to play 4 times in 6 days.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have got one in on a Friday night. Oh, Chris's neck of the woods. Great sign. Yeah. Welcome to our neck of the woods. We'll see if it stays there, Chris. We'll see if it stays there. Got some major things to do, but it's good because it's that time. I'm really excited about this game because this is the first game. Like, we've talked about the fact that Ottawa has needed to play this kind of playoff style. They need to get back. This is the biggest game of the year, blah, 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 blah. But this one to me now is different this afternoon. This one is the first one that feels like both teams are right at that. Okay, this matters. When they drop the puck to both teams on the ice for different reasons, but it really matters. And I just don't know that we've seen that in a long time. The Islanders are going to have a difficult time making the playoffs if they lose this game in regulation, depending on what Philadelphia does tonight, depending on what, Columbus does. They can just ill afford to have 0 points and think that they're going to be okay. And when Ottawa is facing a team like that, where everything is on the line and you can almost clinch a playoff spot with a win in the same game. That's awesome. That's the first time I think we've seen that in a while, that the intensity between the two teams will feel like a playoff game. How does Thomas Chabot respond from coming back from everything that he did? It's wild to me, Tanner, that you mentioned 8 screws, 2 plates. Do I have that right?
I believe so.
Yeah. That guy played 2 weeks after breaking his arm.
Yeah.
And
tough as nails.
Played 21 minutes. Still would love to see the people who signed off on that, but somebody did. Somebody did. What else? What else are you looking for in this game? Like I go back again. Like Linus Ullmark he's been good. I almost don't know how to feel about him. Like he's been better than average, but it's not like he's been, oh my God, they won that game because of Linus Ullmark. Look at the 5-star saves that he's making. He really hasn't done that either. How do you feel about Ullmark right now?
Yeah, I was just looking at some stats the other day, and he's pretty much, since the Olympic break, been around almost exactly league average, which I think is exactly what we were calling for early in the season, because if they were a league average goaltending team, they'd be a lock for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And now that they have that league average goaltending, they're in.
Yeah.
But tonight they are playing against an elite goaltender in Ilya Sorokin. 29 wins in his 53 games played, 908 save percentage, 266 goals against, 7 shutouts on the season. That's as elite of a goaltender as it comes. Like Sorokin genuinely might end up getting some Hart Trophy love because of how much he's been a factor for the New York Islanders. Like the only thing against him maybe is how good Matthew Schaefer has also been for that team. Yeah. But I'm very interested to see tonight if Ullmark can outduel a legitimate Vezina Trophy contender for this season. I think the only guy that's got a chance of beating him is Vasilevsky.
Yeah, it's a good point, especially with how much it matters to the team as well. You know that Sorokin is going to go, and you know that he's going to, hopefully for him, be at his best in a game that matters the most. So how does Ullmark stack up against that? Any of the I'm just looking at the points. Connor McDavid's 5 up on Nikita Kucherov. Looks like he's gonna win the scoring title. Nathan McKinnon's got 52 goals. Cole Caulfield's got 50. Does that interest you if Caulfield could pass Nathan McKinnon?
I guess. I don't know that it'll happen, but yeah, sure. Something to watch for sure. Interesting that we're only probably going to have 2 50-goal scorers this season. Seems a little bit low when you look at the last couple of years.
Yep.
McDavid certainly might get there. He's only at 47. But if anyone could do it, it's certainly Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I mean, he could do it this afternoon if they really needed something. But also, if the Oilers are kind of home and cooled a little bit in the last couple of games, he's probably not going to get it if he doesn't sort of get on the way today, right? So we'll find out here. What do you think this afternoon? First of all, who do you think's favorite in this game?
Ooh, it's got to be pretty close.
It is very close, but there is a team slightly favored.
Just because of recent play, I would say maybe the Senators.
You are correct. Senators at -120. So that's just a very slight favorite. Clearly, the odds makers do not know who's going to win this game. How are you feeling about who's going to win this game?
It's going to be a close one, I think. Like, I don't think we're going to see a blowout by any means. I'm feeling like a 4-3, 3-2 type of situation where it's a 1-goal game. Maybe it goes to overtime. I think both these teams just have so much to play for. I think the Islanders have more, but you can't discount that the Senators know if they get this win, they're probably going to clinch a playoff spot today. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving the slight edge to the Islanders. You can't win them all. I'm going to take the Islanders in a 3-2 win over the Ottawa Senators.
No overtime?
I go back and forth. Yeah, I'll say no overtime.
Julian's right on it as well. Says, I think betting odds favor Ottawa, but it will be a tight game, maybe even a 2-1. Could go either way. This is where I think the Islanders find a way to get 2 points. And I think the hope for Ottawa fans is that they can play well enough that it's very tight down the stretch. The Islanders will not want to do anything to, like when they had a 2-1 lead in Ottawa, they only got one shot in the third period and they ended up losing in regulation.
Yeah, I think key for the Senators, I think, would be to score the first goal or two and then play that shutdown defensive hockey. Yeah. I think if they can do that, they'll have a very good chance in this game.
I think if the Islanders get within like 6 or 7 minutes of the end and it's tied, that they're going to make sure that they get a point and probably try and put, like, look, Ottawa's got some great skilled players, but probably rely on their goaltending and their skill to get it done in 3-on-3 and make sure they get the point, because every point is so valuable. So I do think it's going to be real close. I'm going to give the edge to the Islanders as well. It just feels like they absolutely have to win. So I think it's maybe a 3-1 empty net scenario for the Islanders, but I think we all agree this one's going to be really close. It matters to both teams. And it's that one shot, one bounce. Like you can tell me that a team is playing well, but last game, the shot wide, it goes off of Drake Batherson standing at the side of the net, and they have a quick 1-0 lead. And like you just can't plan for that. Like you can play well, but the bounces sometimes don't go that way. And I think it's going to be real tight down the stretch. Some nervous times for both teams, and probably more for the New York Islanders because it means more to them. So hope everybody enjoys the game, because this is the fun part of hockey. This is why you watch all season long, because your team right now is in a big game. It matters. They could clinch as early tonight if they win, but it also really matters to the other team. This is fun, and I love it. And Tanner, you and I will be right back here on This Is Overtime after the game. Look forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. And we'll be right back here tomorrow as well in studio.
Yeah, the Devils. Gonna have a gaggle of people, I believe. We got AEW, we got the Devils, the Sens. Yeah. Like that's a Sunday night at the Palatial Estates in Ashton. I'll tell you that. So lots of hockey and good stuff going on the weekend. But enjoy the game, everybody. And Tanner and I will be back. This is Overtime immediately following the game. Thanks for being with us on the pregame show on OSN.